Welcome to Yoga for Ankles and Balance. Ever heard of the word proprioception? Proprioception is the understanding of where the body is in space in any given moment. It is because of proprioception that we can touch our nose without looking, take a step without looking at our feet, or pass a ball without looking at our hands. Now, it's no secret that basketball players are no strangers to ankle sprains, strains, and twists. By improving your sense of proprioception, you will improve your body awareness and control to better prevent future injury occurrence or reoccurrence. In this class, we will practice many exercises that will train your proprioception, balance, and ankle mobility and strength. We will perform all possible ankle movements so that you can better understand your ankle joints, their abilities and their limits, and then take this knowledge with you onto the court. So let's get started. Begin in a standing position at the top of your mat. Place your feet comfortably at hips width distance and start to close your eyes. Stand up tall and notice how your feet press into the ground. Notice these very small, subtle stabilizing muscles working in your feet, your toes, your ankles, keeping you upright and balanced. Begin to explore how your body reacts to gravity by subtly shifting your weight side to side. And then shift your weight front to back, noticing how your toes start to engage. Good. Now spread the toes a little better, utilizing their full stabilizing potential, and start to open your eyes. Lift your right foot off the ground for an ankle warm-up. So the ankle has 6 possible movements, and we will practice them all. Start to point and flex the toes, moving through plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. Now for our next exercise, we'll move through eversion and inversion. So you'll start by dipping the pinky toe and the heel to the ground, and then the big toe and the heel to the ground, kind of like you're trying to move the sides of your foot up and down. This one might not be as dramatic as plantar and dorsiflexion. Now for the last exercise, medial and lateral rotation. Keep your heel in one place and try to move your toes left and right. You might have an urge to move your knee or your calf or your ankle as well. Try to only move the foot here, just the toes left and right. Nice. Then lower your right foot down and lift your left foot off the ground. Start with plantar and dorsiflexion, just pointing and flexing the toes. Try to use your full range of motion here, going as far as you can in either direction. And now for eversion and inversion. Start with your foot flat and then try to dip the big toe and heel into the ground, and then lift it by dipping the pinky toe and big toe towards the ground. So you're just lifting and dropping the sides of the feet now. And it might feel weird at first. You might feel like you're not really moving much at all, and that's okay. All right, now lateral and medial rotation. Keep the heel in one stable spot and start to turn your toes to the left. Then turn them to the right, best as you can. Keep the knee static. Don't let the knee open or close. Nice. Then release the foot down. And for a minute of ankle jumps, use your arms as momentum to swing you upwards. And it might feel awkward, but try your best to keep your knees straight. Just using the momentum of your arms swinging and the strength in your calf muscles. Might not be lifting so high, and that's okay. By now you should start to feel a little bit of heat building in the calves and in the ankles. Nice. And then release. Bring your feet together and come into chair pose, sinking the hips low and reaching the arms overhead. Lift onto your toes, balancing here as best as you can, and begin to slowly lower down into a toe balancing squat, sinking the seat onto your heels. Nice work. Reach the arms directly overhead, and then release the hands down in front of you. Using your hands as support, try to drop your heels to the ground as you fold over your thighs. Now, they might not touch, and that's okay. Just see how far you can go. Cool. Then coming into a kneeling position, sit down on your heels. Lift your right knee off the ground, stretching the top of your foot. Use your hands as support here. Then slowly lower it down. Lift your left knee off the ground, stretching at the top of your foot. This should probably feel really nice, especially after those ankle jumps. If this is too intense, you can simply keep both knees down and just sit on the heels. Then release and come into tabletop position. Moving into bird dog crunches, extend your left leg back and your right hand forward. Then tap your knee to your elbow. Reach long, knee to elbow. Continue doing this and try to keep your torso in one flat line without moving it too much. Good. Just about 1 to 2 more. And release. Switching sides, extend your right leg back and reach your left hand forward. Connect your elbow to knee and re-extend. Continue moving through this. And at this point, try to connect these movements to your breath. When you inhale, extend your arm and leg. When you exhale, tap your elbow and your knee. Best as you can, keep your balance. Try to not wobble too much side to side. Good. Release back to tabletop position and downward facing dog. Tuck the toes under and send your hips up and back. Press your chest towards your thighs and start to pedal out your feet. Stretching out the calves, stretching out the hamstrings, and checking in with your ankle mobility. Now in down dog, it's quite often that the heels don't touch the ground all the way, and that's okay. That can often do with genetics and bone structure, but sometimes it's just a matter of not training the ankles to move in this direction enough. So we're just going to play around with that a little now. All right, coming into stillness, we'll prepare for our sun salutations. If something seems a little confusing, feel free to take a look at the video and simply join in when you're ready. Spiral the left heel down and step the right foot forward. Rise for warrior one, reaching your arms overhead. Your right knee should stack your ankle, and your left toes are pointing outward at a 45-degree angle. Now from here, begin to close your eyes and notice the micro movements happening in your feet, your ankles, and your calves, keeping you balanced, kind of like we did at the beginning of class in a standing position. Nice. Now open your eyes and lift your ball mounds and toes off the ground. Hold for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Now lift your heel off the ground, getting into the calves for a good 30 seconds. Nice. Release your heel down and lower your hands down. Step back into plank pose. Lower halfway down for chaturanga. Untuck the toes. Inhale, upward facing dog. The thighs are lifted off the ground. And exhale back into downward facing dog. Untuck the toes when you're ready. Spiral the right heel down and step your left foot forward. Inhale, rise up for warrior one. Stay as you exhale. Check your alignment. Left knee stacks your left ankle. The right toes point outward at a 45. When you're ready, close your eyes. Check in with your balance. Notice how wobbly or how stable you feel here. Nice. Then open your eyes and lift your left ball mounds and toes off the ground, balancing now on your left heel and on your right foot. Stay strong in your legs, the upper and lower legs. Good. Lower the left toes back down and lift your heel off the ground. And release. Hands down, step back into plank pose. Lower halfway chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now let's add on to this sequence. Spiral the left heel down, step your right foot forward. Inhale, rise, warrior one. Exhale, lean forward and start to lift your left foot off the ground, balancing on your right leg for warrior three. Start with your right leg bent, then over time, try to straighten it more and more. Good, we're about a quarter of the way there. We're holding this for a total of 1 minute. Notice if you feel wobbly or if you feel pretty good in your balance here. Nice. Continue breathing. You've got this. Now slowly come up to standing without letting your left foot touch the ground. Draw your left knee into your chest and let's move into tree pose. With your left hand, grab a hold of your left ankle and either place your left foot at your right inner thigh, at your right calf muscle, or use the left toes on the ground like a little kickstand, placing your heel at your ankle. Any of those three variations, just try to avoid placing your left foot at your right knee. We want to keep our knees strong and stable. When you're ready, extend your arms back up towards the ceiling. Holding here, maintain a steady breath. Now, if you're having a hard time with balance here, look at something in front of you that isn't moving and just maintain your focus on that one thing. Engage your glutes to help open up your hip. Good, and slowly release your tree pose. Step back into warrior one, left foot down behind you, take a breath in. Then exhale, hands down, step back, chaturanga. Inhale to up dog. Exhale to down dog. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Spiral the right heel down and step your left foot forward. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, lean forward and lift your right foot off the ground, finding your warrior three. 1 minute hold, let's go. Start with your left knee bent, and over time, try your best to straighten that left leg. If it doesn't straighten all the way today, that's not a problem at all. We're just training all those muscles around the ankles to keep us balanced here. Keep your hips squared here. So that means use your right inner thigh to lift your right leg. And without opening the hips, keep your right hip bone pointing towards the ground, just like your left. Nice, almost there. And slowly make your way to standing without letting your right foot touch the ground as best as you can. Good. Moving into tree pose, grab a hold of your right ankle and place the sole of your foot either on your left inner thigh or your calf muscles or at your ankle using your toes as a kickstand if your balance is really off today. Any of those three options, then extend your arms overhead. Look at something in front of you that isn't moving if you need a little assistance with your balance, and hold here. Activate your glutes to open up your right hip and maintain a slow, deep breath. Nice. Now release. Step back into warrior one without letting the right foot touch the ground on the way. Nice. Then lower the hands down. Step back, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Open the front of the body. And exhale, down dog. All right, one more round, adding one more step. Spiral the left heel down. Step your right foot forward. Inhale, warrior one. Reach up. Exhale, lean forward, shift into warrior three. This time, right away, rise to standing drawing the left knee into the chest and come into your tree pose. For 30 seconds, close your eyes. Now, balancing on one leg with eyes closed is pretty challenging. So if you fall over or if you need to open your eyes, that's okay. Nice. And then open your eyes, and we'll make our way into the next exercise. Try to lift up onto your toes, lifting your heel off the ground as much as you can. So if it doesn't lift that much at all, just a few millimeters, that's totally fine. Just give it your best. Almost there. Good. Release your heel down. Step back into warrior one. Take a breath in. And exhale, hands down. Step back. Chaturanga, lower halfway. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, down dog. Last one on the last side. Spiral the right heel down and step your left foot forward. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, lean forward, warrior three. With control, inhale, rise to standing, right knee to chest. Exhale, come into your tree pose. For 30 seconds, close your eyes. Almost there, stay with it. Good. Now open your eyes. When you're ready, start to lift your left heel off the ground. Look at something that isn't moving to help you. And I know the calf muscles are probably tired at this point in class. Just try your best. Good. Stay with it. You've got this. Nice. Release the left heel down and step back into warrior one. Inhale. Exhale, hands down. Step back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. From here, step both feet forward. Place your feet as wide as your mat and point your toes outward at a 45-degree angle. Now, keep your hands on the ground here and begin to lower into a deep squat. Go as far as you can without letting your heels lift off the ground. As soon as they lift, come out of your squat a little bit. So we're just checking to see how far we can actually go in this dorsiflexion. So we're just checking in with our own personal mobility here. Nice. Then taking a break, straighten your legs, grab opposite elbows for this ragdoll pose. Just stretch out the back of the body for a moment. We're going to take 2 more rounds of this. Great. Come back into your squat. This time, lift your hands off the ground, bring your elbows to the insides of your knees, and start to move your hips in a circular figure 8 motion. If your heels lift off the ground this time, that's okay. Let's focus on the hips here as well. So keep pressing your knees apart from each other, moving the hips a little side to side. One heel might lift off the ground than the other. Good. Then taking a break, let's rest in our forward fold once again. And now for our final progression of this squat. Come back into your squat and bring the hands together in front of your chest. Then place your right hand down outside your right foot and come into a twist. Reach your left arm up towards the ceiling. Now you can either stay there or half bind your left arm around your low back. You can also stay there, or taking it even further, come into a full bind by reaching your right arm around your right leg and clasping your left hand. If that's too much, don't worry about it at all. Stay in a previous variation. Good. Slowly come out of it and let's try the other side. Nice job. Place your left hand down. Keep your arm at the inside of your knee here. and reach your right arm high. You can stay here, just focusing on your ankles, or if you want to get a little fancy, half bind your right arm around your low back. If you want to take it even further, move into your full bind. Again, let's focus on the hips and the ankles here, though. Nice. Slowly come out of it. Good work. Come back into your forward fold. Let the hips rest for a moment. And then step back into downward facing dog. Press your chest to your thighs. And then bend your knees, lowering into a seat on your heels. Untuck your toes. Now, if this is enough of a stretch for your ankles, go ahead and stay right here. Otherwise, begin to lift your right knee off the ground, giving the top of your right foot a gentle stretch. Press your hands into the ground more and more to take the weight out of your seat if it's a little intense. If you want more intensity, then give all your weight into your feet here. Almost there, just a few more seconds. Good, and release your right knee down. Come into tabletop and step your right foot in between your hands. Start to sink your hips to the ground and let your right knee track past your right ankle. Once again, looking at this dorsiflexion. Now, moving on to eversion and inversion, real slowly, move your knee to the left and the right. So when we twist our ankles, oftentimes we overstretch these ligaments on the outside of the ankle. So if you move your knee to the right, this is moving into eversion, which can be very rehabilitating and beneficial to those of us who twist the ankles quite often. Just a few more moments here. And let's release. Coming into half splits. So walk your hands back and straighten your right leg. Flex your toes for the next 30 seconds. Fold over your right thigh, letting the spine round. Drop the head completely. Make sure that your hips are stacked directly above your left knee here. If your right leg doesn't straighten out completely, that's also okay. We're just looking for a stretch through the hamstrings. Now point your toes, trying to tap your toes towards the ground. Practicing a different variation of this same stretch. You might notice that it feels a little different in the leg here. And slowly come out. Now half pigeon pose, heel toe your right foot over to the left and lower your right knee down. Now slide your left knee as far back as you can. Lift onto your fingertips, take a breath in, and as you exhale, begin to fold over your right thigh. You can rest your forehead onto your forearms. Maybe you stack your fists and rest your forehead there, or maybe let the forehead come all the way down to the ground. Take the variation that works best in your body. We're going to be here for a total of 1 minute and 30 seconds. We have about 1 minute to go. Now, if it's too much for you, feel free to stay on your elbows and be mindful of your breath. Inhale to fill up your lungs to their fullest capacity. And exhale to release tension somewhere in your body. Good. Slowly make your way out of your pigeon pose. Place your hands back down and step right back into downward facing dog. And from here, tap the knees down and come into a kneeling position once again. Sit on your heels. Place the hands down beside you and start to lift your left knee off the ground. So we're just going to do the same thing on the left side. Give the top of the foot and the top of the ankle a nice deep stretch here. And gently release. Come into tabletop position and step your left foot in between your hands. Sink your hips, let your left knee track over your ankle, and real gently start to explore this inversion and eversion by moving your knee left to right. Now, it doesn't have to go that far in either direction. Try to keep your heel grounded and notice how it feels. When the knee moves to the left, that's in eversion. When the knee moves to the right, that's an inversion. So just check in with your body here. Get to know your ankle joint. Notice which position feels better for you, which position doesn't feel so good for you. And as I mentioned before on the previous side, eversion can be quite rehabilitating for those of us who have experienced any ankle injuries in the past. If you know that you have an overstretched ligament on the outside of your ankle. Nice. Now let's release that and come into half splits. Walk your hands back, straighten your left leg as much as you can and flex your toes. Begin to fold over your left thigh, go as far as you can and drop your head. Breathe deeply. I know this can feel quite intense in the hamstrings. Just stay with it. Good. Now we'll come into plantar flexion. Point the toes, trying to point the toes all the way down to tap the mat. Stay in your fold. And I just want you to observe how these two variations actually feel quite different from each other. Even though we're in the same stretch, notice how just pointing or flexing the toes can change the entire experience of it. Nice. Slowly release. Come back into low lunge. Heel toe your left foot over to the right, moving into our pigeon pose. Lower the left knee down. Slide your right knee further back. Come onto your fingertips. Take an inhale, open the chest. With your exhale, begin to fold forward, coming onto your elbows and either staying there or lowering your forehead down onto your arms or all the way to the ground. Now deepen the breath here, letting the body relax, little by little letting go of tension somewhere in the body. Perhaps the shoulders, perhaps the muscles in the face, perhaps the low back, and possibly even the hips. Good. Slowly make your way back up. Place the hands down, step back into downward facing dog just for a moment to release the hips. And then tap your knees down. Swing your legs forward out in front of you and make your way down onto your back. Extend your arms and legs long, and our last exercise here before we close our practice, tense everything. Tense every muscle in the body, the toes, the calves, the thighs, the glutes, the core, the chest, the arms, the hands, the face, everything tense. And release. Relax every single muscle in your body, allowing yourself to sink into the ground. For the next few minutes, we'll be here taking rest in Shavasana. Slowly invite your awareness back into your body. Becoming aware of your hands and your feet, begin inviting some gentle movements back into them. And then start to rock the head side to side, roll out the wrists and the ankles. In time, reach your arms overhead, point your toes, take a deep breath in, full body stretch, and a deep breath out. Roll over to the side, resting your head on your lower arm like a pillow. And keeping the eyes closed, press up into a comfortable seated position. Rest your palms on your thighs, sit up tall, and notice how your body feels now. Notice what has changed since the beginning of class. And take a moment to thank yourself for showing up to this practice today. Great work, and we look forward to seeing you back on your mat next week for another class.